Bengals hire Al Golden. We'll get into this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I'm Ace, he's Zim, and the Bengals had a very eventful day today. They finally had a defensive coordinator. Before we get into that, though, partner, how you doing?
Doing pretty damn good. Can you hear me? Am I loud? Am I crispy enough?
Yeah, you're crispy. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I might be tripping sometimes. Y'all know that. Like, you got to work with them. Like, when, Ace always got his stuff on point. I always got to get my stuff together. I've been trying to sit around and get all my information together. I think we got an excellent show today because I got a surprise guest later. You got to guess you're about it. Like, we got so much stuff going on, and I feel really good about what we, the amount of information that we're going to give the community today. So that's always a bonus.
For sure. So we're going to talk about what happened in terms of the biggest news today. We're going to talk about the Bengals hiring defensive coordinator Al Golden. We'll also talk about the defensive line coach hiring as well. But we do have a special guest today. Cincy Jungle family. When we were there, he was there. We're both out doing big things. Now he's with A to Z Sports, bringing in the man, the legend, John Sheeran. What's up, John?
Man, it is good to be back. How are you guys doing? I'm doing well.
Pretty good, brother. Pretty good.
I saw it was on Instagram a couple days ago because I follow Astro and I see his stories from time to time. I'm like, damn, this is a nice AJ Green video. Like, wait a minute, Ace Zim. They got AJ Green on the other day. So I caught that earlier today. Very nice interview from you guys. But it's always good. It's always good seeing you guys' content from the years that we worked together, and it's amazing to see how much we've all kind of grown since then.
Shout out to Astro. That's crazy though, because somebody else was telling me, Ace was telling me something about Astro the other day. He was like, man, we got to do this video for and somebody else hit me and was like, man, like the color scheme that he uses and stuff. So Astro, a lot of people that I meet on Instagram or Twitter or stuff a lot of them people are people that I know so long ago, and then they kind of grown with us, and then Astro hit me one day. I was like, man, I know how to do editing. So me started working on different stuff or whatever. And then anytime I need like something, I get too busy. Like, yeah, shout out to Astro. Like, that's crazy that you said that. Like, I love his style, like the way it's shot.
Exactly. One of my favorite follows. Always good music for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, hold on. What people don't know, I gotta ask you this because this is crazy. Before we get into anything else, how excited were you that Thugger got out?
just following kind of loosely, just like the whole shenanigans with like the first judge was very interesting, and then shout out to obviously his attorney for the case of the year with 15 years parole for all of that. But no, like he had a good feature with Baby in Future, I think a couple weeks ago. So interested to see if anything changes. But yeah, shout out Thugger.
I had to throw that out there because one thing I do remember when we were working with John always was talking that Thug, like he was with Thug. He got a protege too. This is the last music. He has a protege. His name is Nine Vicious, ironically, right? But Nine Vicious is about to drop like a album too. John, we are here to talk football. We're here to talk Bengals. Sure. Bengals hire brand new defensive coordinator Al Golden. Previously with the Bengals, it is his previous stint with the Cincinnati Bengals, currently or was with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, now announced earlier today. This has been in the works for some time. Al Golden, what are your initial thoughts on that, John?
I mean, from the very moment that they fired Lou, it seemed like this was the plan, which is good. And I mean, for the most part, I think that's fine. That's how a lot of teams do it. Like if you plan to make a coaching change, you typically have a target in mind when you go that. And the alternative is like the Jags, where you're just kind of running around with a chicken with your head cut off and you don't really know what you're doing, right? So I don't know if like the Bengals deserve to be like condemned necessarily for like having a guy in mind and then kind of just going through the motions of eventually hiring him. But I think we all thought this when they fired Lou. This is like one of the most attractive vacancies in the entire NFL, like this defense coordinator spot. And you would think that with that allure comes the opportunity to at least entertain, the biggest names out there, not necessarily like the best names for the job, but like you just want to see, what other guys can bring to the table and learn about what you're really looking for, while knowing that you still want Al for the spot. He's still the favorite, but I think the interview process is so important to just kind of gauge how other guys would do this job, and you learn about yourself along that process. So I'm not surprised at all by Al Golden, landing this job, considering all the connections, the fact that he still lives in Cincinnati, the fact that if Lou had gotten a head coaching gig and he was still here, he would have probably been the damn pitcher on the defensive side of the ball. He would have been the internal promotion. So all of that makes sense. I think though, like when you hear like, oh, like Al Golden is going to be the favorite and there's been no reported contact, like this has all been kind of under wraps with everything. It was a little underwhelming, I think, just because you had the opportunity at least to see what else was out there. But I think still, like the process, I think still at the end of the day, he's a solid quality candidate that checks a lot of the boxes that they were looking for. So you kind of give and take with like the positives and negatives here. And overall, I think it's still a decent hire for sure.
I'm not going to lie. When I read the PDJ article and it was like him and Zac Taylor are neighbors, like right. that would have been too nasty for Zac to not hire his neighbor, bro. Like, and I think if we would have known that he was his neighbor, we already figured that he was going to be the guy, but I'm like, yeah, there's no way that this guy is not going to hire his neighbor. But I do think
isn't that part of it? Isn't that part of what you think that you probably dislike is the fact that it is his neighbor?
Right. And it's like this talk has been happening for a long time. It's not like, oh, like he just got done with Notre Dame and now they're going to start, like that's how like the national media spins it. But this has been in the works for a while. Like someone told me that had Lute left, like they already drafted up the contract for him to take his spot. And that's how the Bengals would prefer to do things. It's how every team would prefer to do things to maintain the continuity. But also there's the other thing, right? There was this fear of like this guy coached under Anarumo. How similar is the defense going to be in terms of their coaching style and everything like that? And that's not really where my concern is, because again, like he was a head coach for 10 years at the college level, defense coordinator for 3 years. I don't think this is just a Lou disciple. Like, I don't think that at all. It's just a matter of the fact that he's familiar with the team and how they, do things, and he knows exactly what he's getting into. He's familiarity with the organization, everything like that. But yeah, like this has been in the makings for a while now, and I think it was just a matter of they're going to float out some names. And they're going to see who they can bring in to interview, and if anyone wows them, like maybe Patrick Graham made a phenomenal impression on them in the process, and that's why he was a quote unquote final. But it seemed like it was going to take something massive for them to move off of Golden, and obviously that didn't happen.
No, for sure. Is there anything that you see from a personnel standpoint that they're kind of going to go with the youth movement, or do you think that you could see some similar players come into the building, or do you think that there may be some different players outside of the building that might be on their way into Cincinnati?
It's interesting because like his only other NFL stop was with Detroit a few years ago. He was a tight ends and linebackers coach, and then he was with the Bengals. But obviously his like 90% of his resume is with the college ranks, and that's good because he's obviously got an eye for who's coming into that level. And I think that's a boost in terms of now he's in an elevated position in terms of scouting and decision making with the draft and everything. So that's going to be fascinating to watch that process over the next couple of months to see who they are interested in with the draft. I think right now you have to look at who's on the team right now and who's kind of in the spotlight about who could be coming and who could be going. And Jermaine Pratt is, I think, right in the spotlight now is like the biggest question about this, because the biggest positive with Golden is the development of both Logan Wilson and Pratt. And I think he gets a ton of credit for developing not just them, but just other young guys on the team. Like Akeem Davis-Gaither, you can throw him in there as well. Like that was the start of his career. Just getting 3 quality linebackers from those 2 years after just 2 decades and not being able to draft a single linebacker, right? It's crazy how much that progression was. And I think he gets a ton of credit for developing guys in the early parts of the Anarumo years and how well he connected. There's a reason why he was one of the first hires that Marcus Freeman made. And obviously it did so well. So I think it definitely starts with Pratt, considering he's right on the borderline of like a cap casualty, but has the familiarity with Golden. It's just a matter of do they think he's athletically cooked? Because I think there's a strong argument for there at that point.
Let me rewind it a second too, and just go into like the whole process. Me and Ace talk about this on the show like sometimes. What was John Sheeran's criteria, just from not the editorial John Sheeran, just the Bengals, like, you know what I mean? Like, what was your criteria that you had coming into the process of the Bengals selecting what you thought was maybe reasonable, but maybe the best opportunity for the Bengals to succeed? Like, what were you looking for?
Yeah, I think, again, it matches a lot with who Golden is. Someone who can clearly connect with younger players, someone who has a system that the rules are easy for your players to follow, but still tough for the offense to kind of gauge. And like that was the whole buzz with Anarumo. There weren't very clear and concise rules within their coverage, and that's why there's a lot of miscommunication. And that's why he was so over reliant on the veterans, and that's why it took weeks and 2 years really to get Jordan Battle onto the field. And like you could see that with a ton of players. And I think there was that kind of sense of this just isn't really working. And you need someone who can connect with the younger parts of this roster. And especially now, I mean, we've been talking about this for years, guys. Like the defense has to get younger and cheaper in order to pay all the guys on the offense. And it's important to kind of prioritize that and get someone that can connect and get everyone on the same page. So I think the fact that Golden already had experience of calling third downs for this defense towards the end of the 2021 run, like, it gives him a little bit of an edge in terms of like he kind of has an insight of what to do here in terms of a play caller. It's considering the fact that this is his first time being an NFL defensive coordinator. That was also going to be one of my criteria. Like, he would have preferred maybe someone with more experience in this specific role, and that's why Patrick Graham was so enticing, considering he had been a defense coordinator for 3 different franchises over the past 6 years, and I think he's maximized personnel as best as he could with those teams. So just someone that could do a lot and elevate guys, especially younger players, and bring in a system and scheme that was simplified, but also could still be able to, like, obviously Anarumo's calling card was being able to best Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, like confuse the elite guys. Like the ability to at least maintain some of that would have still been preferable for sure.
I gotta ask you, man, because me and Zim, private conversations, we've been kind of talking about Lou Anarumo and his time here in Cincy. What are your thoughts on like who he was as a defensive coordinator? And not that everybody, I feel like, thinks that it was kind of time to move on, but where do you kind of rank Lou in terms of what he did for the Bengals?
I think it was Goodberry who retweeted like the announcement when he was hired, and I was like one of the top replies. It's like it was that gif of like the kid in the spelling bee, like the confetti falling down him, but he's got like a blank face and just like, what the hell is this, right? Because that was the reaction when he got hired. He was like the 6th, 7th candidate in that process. No one really knew who he was. So relative expectation, far and away better than what we ever thought, right? At the end of the day, from a 6-year totality standpoint, like there was a lot of inconsistencies, and I think the defense stepped up when it absolutely needed to. Like, they were clutch in terms of just getting stops in the red zone, getting turnovers. That's a lot, I think, of his legacy. And being someone who was relatively inexperienced in that role, like, I think he did about as well as he could have expected. And I think the respect that he's earned across league circles is earned because, like, a lot of people only watch the Bengals when they're in prime time, and that's when the defense typically played its best. So the reputation, the perception of who he is compared for Bengals fans and everyone else is a little bit different, because we saw like the week-to-week inconsistencies and how that just wasn't up to snuff. And particularly with the offense doing as well as it is, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. So I think if you want to rank him in like across the league, he's still probably above average in terms of being a defensive coordinator. And I think that's fine to label him as. But yeah, I certainly of the opinion that it was definitely time to move on. And I think he did a lot to progress what he did. And he obviously didn't have any help in terms of the personnel decisions that they made over the past couple of years. So he did about as well as he could, but you can definitely recognize that there was a sense of he just wasn't getting enough out of the young guys, and he wasn't giving them enough of a chance. And I think that's why they moved on.
I think like it is very interesting you said that, because Lou Anarumo, for a guy that just had the 30th ranked defense, it is kind of crazy to like watch like the Kelseys talk about him and be like, I don't know what the hell is going on over in Cincinnati. Sorry, because their perspective probably on it is like, this guy gave us fits, or Travis at least. It's like, this guy gave us fits. This is, and I seen the graphic today, and it's showing, and people are retweeting this and showing it all over the place, of Tom Brady and Joe Burrow being the only quarterbacks that ever beat Mahomes in the playoffs. And so everybody, I think, still looks at that in that small sample size of those games. I thought it was key you brought up that like those Bengals being watched in those primetime games. in those primetime games of the college football playoff, how much do you weigh Al Golden versus Ohio State? For a lot of people, a lot of our fans and a lot of people that watch our show don't watch college football that much. I started getting to the drafting process when I got closer to it, right? How much do you weigh that one game versus the whole entire tenure of Al Golden?
I don't weigh it a ton. I think knowing what we knew coming into the game, it was funny, like hearing Notre Dame players be like, "No, we're not going to change who we are. We're going to go man to man against Jeremiah Smith, and there's not a damn thing that they can do about it." They did a lot about it, right? Because Jeremiah Smith is 19-year-old Julio Jones, and there's no one that can guard him one-on-one who was healthy on the Notre Dame team. Like, they were down their first-round cornerback Benjamin Harris. They were down a couple of their best pass rushers, which you can't get too far into the injury excuse, because the Bengals had a lot of guys out too, right? You just do with what you can. I mean, obviously, the disparity in college football is a lot bigger than the disparity of athleticism talent in the NFL, so that's a variable with it as well. But this guy, I mean, the Notre Dame had arguably the best passing defense of the past couple of years, and they did as much as they could with the recruits that they could have. Like, I think there's still an academic standard at Notre Dame, so it's not exactly the same as recruiting and NIL money with Ohio State and the other powerhouses like that. So there's always that kind of gap with Notre Dame. But no, like, I think the overall body of work speaks for itself with Golden. And this was a game where I think they were expected to give up 27 points according to Vegas. So they were like 9-point underdogs, and the over-under was a certain number. They were expected 27. They gave up 34. I thought they made some pretty decent adjustments throughout the game. Like, they tried to go with these bear fronts when the Ohio State was running on them. And the only way the Ohio State was not going to score in that game is if they treated like Michigan and like, oh, we're going to run down your throat and we're going to beat it to you like that. Pause. But no, they decided to air it out because they're Ohio State. They have 3 number 1 receivers, right? And that they took the mismatch. So it was going to be rough either way. That last play doesn't do him any favors because he just looks stupid for calling the zero blitz and leaving Jeremiah Smith one-on-one. But that's how it goes, right? Recency bias will do that, and that's how the takes will form. But I thought overall it was fine.
Where do you think the floor is, I guess, for the Bengals defense next season under Golden?
The floor, I mean, I don't want to be like. I mean, the floor could be like the basement, right? I mean, the floor was the basement this year, and until we see like what the personnel moves are and how they rebuild this defensive line, like it's a big mystery. Like there's a lot of questions that Golden has to answer for as much optimism as there is. But I'm not here to say that the floor is like average. I feel like that would be far too optimistic. I think there's a lot to like about who he is and what he brings, but there's still a lot of questions personnel wise with this defense, and it's not a given that they're going to figure all that out. There's the hope, obviously, like they need a direction for sure. And again, you like the fact that he's familiar with the college level, and maybe you get better scouting tips and advice and decisions with that regard. But I think the floor is still relatively like low, but the ceiling is definitely higher because
that's what I actually meant. I meant to say the ceiling, so I said the floor, but I meant the ceiling.
Yeah, like it's a wide range of outcomes for sure. Like I think there's a definite chance that they can be better, and if all we're going for here is average, then that's certainly in play. But the ceiling could be near top 10 for sure.
That's the part that I struggle with the most is like, and I think I struggle with that this whole entire season. It's like my expectations, maybe because we do content creation. You talk about
gotcha.
That I just feel like, I'm sorry, like my mic is acting funny. But that's what I ran into is like my expectation level for our defense. I look at our defense in the personnel, and I don't know. Am I too far off base to say that I have lower expectations just based off of I just don't see that much talent on defense? And so what are fans or what do Bengals, what are Bengals enthusiasts like? What do they expect? Like, to me, the Bengals work off of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and possibly T. Higgins lighting the scoreboard up, and maybe your defense is like middle of the pack.
It's weird because it's not weird, but like their best, most promising young pieces are all in the secondary. And again, like one of them didn't really play until the second half of Jordan Battle. Like you saw some flashes from Geno Stone, at the end, and he seemed pretty excited that Al Golden was the defensive coordinator. So that maybe tells us what they think about him and his contract. So maybe he's back, right? Dax Hill and DJ Turner both coming off injuries. Obviously, Hill's got the more major injury, and we're going to see where he's at when training camp comes around. But I think you still have promise in the secondary. But their second best pass rusher is a free agent in Joseph Osai, and that whole defensive line group has to be rebuilt. I don't know, like it's a mystery as to how they're going to do that in an offseason where they're going to spend on T and Jamar and potentially Trey. So figuring out all of that is so critical here, and it's why I think the defensive line coach is the first unofficial hire that Golden has made. The guy from New England, Green Bay, Jerry Montgomery. So that's going to be key for sure. It really comes down to generating a pass rush, because they only really generated an ancillary source of pass rush in like the final couple of games, and you saw what difference that made for the secondary.
We can't hear you, Zim. Yep. So what are your thoughts? Speaking of Montgomery, what are your thoughts on Montgomery?
Mixed, I would say, because there are a lot of Packers people who didn't mind seeing him go, and he was more of the, so like Packers ran a 3-4 there. He was like the 3-4 defensive tackle, like just he coached the down lineman essentially, and he had a pass rush specialist to help out with Rashan Gary. So they still had guys like Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, Carl Brooks, who was a guy that a lot of Bengals fans liked. He developed out of Bowling Green, so there was definitely promises and flashes of guys developing, which is again a lot more than what we've seen in recent years. Unfortunately, under Marion Hoppy, he went to New England. That whole roster was a mess. It's like with both him and Scott Peters and Michael McCarthy. It's like, how much can you really take from last year with the Patriots? I think that's more about they hired him based off of their reputation before they got there, because they just had to deal with a mess. So I think it's more of a coincidence that they hired 3 assistants from Gerard Mayo's staff, rather than like, oh, like we love what we saw from week 1, we got to hire these guys. No, it wasn't necessarily that. But yeah, Montgomery's I don't really have a ton of thoughts on him. I think there were some parts of Green Bay that didn't necessarily work out, which is why he wasn't retained when they hired a new defensive coordinator last year. But again, like I think it was time for probably a new face in that group to kind of take over what's really going to be just Trey and a bunch of unknowns and new guys.
Nah, for sure. Some people were, I think, on X talking about there possibly being a possible pass rush specialist. I think it was just more rumored. It wasn't anything confirmed. You think that that's something that they'll do? Because apparently they had some people kind of do that position last year, but that person is now gone.
Yeah, it was Mark Duffner, I think, who was the senior defensive assistant and been there for years, right? But I think regardless, like it's something that they should be investing in, like because Trey is obviously leaps and bounds better than anyone that they have currently, and better than anyone that they will probably be able to bring in. But the fact that they like the offensive line hire is so interesting, because like that's what he is on the offensive side of the ball. Like he's a pass protection specialist, and it's unlike a lot of offensive line hires that you see. And more times than not, those guys are just in charge of implementing scheme and making sure everyone stays on the same page. And, it's mostly the same for the defensive line, but you would definitely like to see some type of a pass rush specialist, someone with that official title who's taking the time to develop some of these guys, because again, like they can't draft defensive tackles for the life of them. And it's going to be really important that they do that, and getting any help at all would definitely help in that regard.
Yeah. Montgomery was credited in Green Bay for being in charge of like the interior defense. So like that part of it does kind of like you take a little bit of the numbers with a grain of salt, because Rashan Gary, like there's so much stuff going on where you're like looking at all these guys getting these huge sack numbers, but I'm like, yeah, Montgomery wasn't really a part of that part of it. So I don't know. Was there anybody that you saw? I saw Covington's name thrown out there beforehand as a possible D-line, coach or whatever. Was there anybody else like on the radar that maybe you had heard about, or a name that you thought it could have been?
Yeah, Covington, like you'd think that like he was brought in for an interview for the DC, but like oftentimes those are just like, hey, like we'll bring you in, and if there's a role for you, like we'll see. So that made sense for him potentially being the D-line coach, but obviously that doesn't seem to be happening, unless it could just be like a combined effort between him and Montgomery. So we'll kind of see about that. I did see like people were talking about Burfict becoming the linebackers coach, but I just want to say this: smart ass player, like for sure. Like he could definitely do that, and like, but yeah,
I have to say this. All right, I'm not one to name drop. I had to hit my dog up and say, why do I keep on seeing your name? He told me, he wouldn't mind me saying this. He said there are people at the top of the food chain that recognize that he is a good linebacker and stuff like that. But he said he doesn't have any connections with any of the guys that were recently hired. And he's currently right now coaching in high school where he's at right now. So
That's awesome.
I had to kill that one. I'm glad you brought that up because it's like a fake Burfict on Twitter, and everybody is like, "Bro, Burfict coming back." I'm like, "That's not Burfict." And all right, I'm so glad you
fake Burfict. Yeah, I just feel like when it comes to like the NFL players, there is a kind of narrative out there where it's like, oh, just because you were a great player, you're not going to be a great coach. And sometimes that is the case. But I like looking at what Campbell did in Detroit with bringing a lot of like former players in to kind of be part of that. And for me, like the reason that I would like Vontaze Burfict as a linebacker coach, if they were ever to do it, is just because it kind of speaks to like the culture. Like I remember when Joey Porter became like a linebacker coach for the Steelers, like just seeing something like that is cool. If it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, you can always switch it out. But it would just be interesting to see just because I remember Paul Guenther reading articles on Bengals.com saying like Paul Guenther saying like, oh, Vontaze is going to be a future coach like later in his career. And I know that he did have, I think, some kind of experience with Marvin Lewis where he may have coached linebackers at, I don't know if it was, I don't want to misspeak here, but it was like some kind of bowl thing or something like that. And I think that was like his first experience doing it. I just feel like sometimes you just got to try things, bro, just to see if something ends up working or not. I mean, obviously, it's just going to sound amazing because it's Vontaze Burfict, but it'll just be interesting to see if they ever go with kind of some former players, which, I mean, Scott Peters is a former player, so
exactly.
I guess they did do that.
That's why the Peters hire is so fascinating because it's not like a lot of offensive line coaches in those hires that you see. It's like the closest that they're going to get to hire Willie Anderson. For as many people who want Willie Anderson to be that role, like Willie loves what he does, developing individual offensive linemen. That's literally Scott Peters' calling card. But with Burfict, a guy who was never a great athlete to be as productive as he is, you know that intellectually he's smart as hell, and he would be great in that role, even if he doesn't want it.
That's crazy too, because our perception. It reminds me of how we were just talking about Lou. It's like our perception and us knowing Mike Dubs and seeing different things with Burfict. I think the world got a chance to see Burfict probably like a week ago. He did the special with Gruden, so a lot of people got a chance to see him there. But the outside opinion of him is like he's some vigilante, crazy dude. And Bengals fans, you might feel like that if you're a Bengal fan. Like he's a little off the wall, but people that really watched him while he was here understood how instinctive I think he was. And that alone, you can't really coach that, but he wasn't the most athletic and he was like a good communicator and he didn't. When he was on, he was on. So that is crazy. Before we let you go, John, I wanted to ask you one question about the money portion of the coaching. Have you heard any insight on that? Because I know I've seen the extension that Golden had just recently signed. Is that something where the Bengals are matching it, or do you know of any of the other money situations with any of the guys that were hired?
So I talked to our Notre Dame guy at A to Z. He's pretty plugged in. Like he said that there is a buyout for Golden, so I'm assuming that the Bengals are going to have to pay that. But I haven't heard anything about like the contract details. Again, like I was told that like there was like a drafted contract for him a couple years ago before he left Notre Dame. So like they were prepared for this. So I'm sure they had some type of a number in mind, but inflation hits and he obviously got paid pretty handsomely at Notre Dame. So yesterday's price, not the same price I would say today.
For sure. Well, John, we appreciate you for stopping by. Before you go though, let the people know where they can find your content at.
Yeah, like you said, A to Z Sports.com/Cincinnati, pumping articles there, and A to Z Sports Cincinnati YouTube channel, up to like 500 some subscribers. So that's awesome to see. And at Twitter, at John_Sheeran. Follow my tweets there.
Yep, guys, make sure you guys head on over and make sure that you guys subscribe and definitely make sure that you check out the articles. He does amazing work. John, once again, brother, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. Who dey?
John Sheeran, man. It's been a while, man. We used to crank out shows with them boys, and yeah, that was a good one. It was good catching up with John, man.
Nah, that was dope, man. For sure. Love hearing his insight on the Al Golden situation. We haven't really spoken about the Al Golden situation. What are your thoughts on what my thoughts are? I mean, it is.
No, tell the people what your thoughts are.
All right, so here are my thoughts on the Al Golden situation. I think Al Golden is a guy coming into this situation. I'm a little bit worried just because of the experience, and I've apparently I'm not the only one that thinks this because I have seen kind of some mixed feelings on Twitter and stuff like that. My issue is with this being Joe Burrow's prime, with this being the prime time in the last, I say 7 seasons, somebody's like, hey, Ace, why are you saying he's only going to play that long? Like, you just never know because I've seen guys retire at like 34, fall off a cliff at 34. I've seen guys play to 40, right? So I just tried to say the next 7 years. The reason this is imperative is I came from a place before this season of believing that we could go all in on offense and that the defense could just be whatever. And because I'm going to have to invest on the offensive side of the ball. And I just knew like the Bengals offense could score 30 a game. Well, they did that. But because the defense wasn't good enough, they weren't able to be like this juggernaut team because the defense was giving up 30 a game and stuff like that. So my perspective now is with this situation being somebody that you're walking away from with the Lou, that rightfully so has beat Pat Mahomes in the big games, has beaten Josh Allen. My concern was this next guy has to have a resume. That's just my criteria. That's not everybody's criteria. So for me, I just thought it was more of a risk because I haven't seen him do it at that level. The NFL has more complex offenses. This is a defense, as we've kind of talked about. The personnel is a huge question mark. You're talking about potentially no BJ Hill, no Mike Hilton. Obviously, we know what the losses of DJ Reader and Jesse Bates and those guys in the past have done. So it's a lot of question marks that you're trusting with somebody that doesn't have a resume when it comes to NFL. He has a resume when it comes to college, but the NFL is the question. So for me, that's the only thing that I'm worried about. But I will say the fact that he's more aggressive and that he's going to do some of these things and he has fresh new ideas, maybe he can get that youth movement to kind of be what we expect it to be. But I just worry about like the risk. And it's like, I'm good with it because if it doesn't work out, right, Zach's on a short lease. If you move on from Zach, just like we just seen with Gerard Mayo, it's a completely new coaching staff coming in. But at the end of the day, like that's my only issue. Really is experience. I don't hate him as a person. I don't think that he wasn't a great college coordinator. My issue was just
you're a golden hater, bro.
I'm a golden hater. I'm a gold digger. Yeah, so
gold digger. Hey, that's crazy.
Gold digger is crazy. But that was my only question was like, man, like, and I'm gonna be honest, like, even from the hiring overall, like I get what Sheeran was saying. Like, we didn't know that, right? We didn't know that they already had this as a foregone kind of plan. It kind of sounds similar to like when we had Vance Joseph back in the day. But from just my perspective,
so all this time, you thought that they were just going to wait. They've never talked to him before.
I didn't think that they never talked to him, but when he's talking about that they had a contract drawn up, like
like before
interviews, yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know, like,
but he was referencing what happened years before if Lou were to go or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
okay,
like
I didn't know that.
The bowl and all of that, and like, you know, we've heard stuff like that with Hugh Jackson back in the day with Marvin Lewis. Like, oh, if Marvin was ever to go, they had somebody there. I think we even heard it with Vance Joseph. Like, we think he's gonna be the next superstar. So I didn't know that part about it. So clearly, them in the building, they have a lot of confidence in him, and this was something in the workings. But even with the job search, just in general, I was just like, bro, are we treating this like we just finished bottom 5 in the NFL? So that's where I came from my stance.
There's a lot that I hope I can hit all of your points on it. All right. Yeah. So me, first and foremost, we're in January, so the urgency level, I think, what you're talking about, I feel what you're saying because in the totality of Joe Burrow, that is the big concern is like you don't want to waste no Joe Burrow seasons. And I start off with missing the playoffs. Like, what great quarterback in the history of football misses the playoffs? And the ones that did, their coaches got canned. like that's just how it goes. And so I start with that. So the urgency level, I am there with you. But some of the things that I think that you're mentioning, like personnel stuff, I'm not as gung-ho on that yet because it's so early. Like, I don't really, like, we're in January, so a lot can happen where I think if I lose BJ Hill or Osai and all these guys like that, I think that there's hella replacements like right around the corner for him. And I think Golden, like John said this too, if you talk to people that are like connected to Notre Dame, like, you know, like our boy Kareem and all these different people, like a lot of people seeing Mike Golick tweet and stuff like that. This is a guy, I'm going to sound like a Golden Graham or Golden, or what's the Golden? Yeah, all right.
Golden boy. You a golden boy.
A golden boy. Yeah, I'm a golden boy. But a lot of people that are involved with Notre Dame football are kind of bummed out that he's gone. Like the people that the values that the opinions that I value, those people are kind of bummed out that he's gone. And a lot of people are vouching for him that feel like he's legit. And when you go back, his story and what he's done currently right now, it reminds me a lot of what Mike McDonald did with the Ravens, where he leaves. That Michigan defense was cooking by the time that the Ravens came back around and spin the block and came back and got him. The Bengals low-key are doing like the same move, because you got to think for the last couple years, their defense in 2023 was number 6 in EPA per play on defense, and it was number 2 this past season. In all the passing metrics, they were all number 1. So you're getting the number 1 or the most highly acclaimed, one of the most highly acclaimed coordinators in all of college football. A lot of people might say, well, I want NFL experience. Okay, cool. He gave you NFL experience. You got to go back and think about 2020. In 2020, a lot of people's seats were hot then, but because everything is happening real fast, people don't really remember, but they were down bad. 2021, they come out there, Al Golden and the boys, you got to think about the injuries. The injuries to Notre Dame that just happened are a lot like what the Bengals had, you know, in 2021 with their linebacking core. We had Joe Bocci and them dudes balling out there in the playoffs and stopping Derrick Henry on 4th and 1. Akeem Davis gave there all these dudes, like, bro, we had like 3 torn ACLs in the linebacker room. Didn't really miss a beat. Like Logan Wilson got hurt in one of those seasons with his shoulder and everything like that. We didn't really miss a beat. He came back later in the season, but all of these guys had missed. And what you hear from people is that this guy has always had a knack for motivating others and getting guys to play and getting the young guys to play. The one thing that I think by Zach being his neighbor is probably that they've had long conversations about letting them young boys cook. And that's something Lou was willing to die on.
You think he was like, yeah, bro, Lou need to let Jordan Battle play a lot more, bro.
I think Lou was the captain of his ship on defense, and continuously throughout the season, he was willing to die with the guns, the ammo that he loaded up with Von Bell, Sam Hubbard. He was willing. That's just the way this goes, and I don't think nobody should feel no type of way. That's how I feel about Lou. It's like I feel like he's a good coach, but he said, "I'm going to do it my way." And when you say you're going to do it your way, that's why we had those shows, and I was like, I don't care about what these people saying at the podium. Talk to me about the action, because he was consistently showing you, I'm not playing them young dudes, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do it. And he gave us the 30th ranked defense as a result. And then when he was forced to play the young dudes, he cooked. He low key could have called. Like there's a lot of blame to go around, but there's a world I live in where you could say he kind of cost us the season just off of his stubbornness. Not even just the talent. I don't know how good the Bengals would have performed in the playoffs, but that alone. Where Al Golden, and you go watch a lot of them dudes that was talking trash before the game, if you had watched them, that was saying that they was gonna go man with the Ohio. Like this is the best wide receivers in the college football, and all them boys was talking like that. They was all talking like they was about to do their thing. And when it was 3rd and 11, he sent the blitz. They were down guys up front. And he tried to compensate for that, and he got burned. And that could happen. He did his thing against Jordan. He did his thing throughout the season, and I think that his resume isn't the resume that I wanted. I wanted Dennis Allen. Before then, I wanted Bill Belichick. You know what I'm saying? Because I got Joe Burrow. But when the chips started to fall, I'm not really mad at the choice of Al Golden. I don't think that it's the hire that I would have, just like Lou Anarumo isn't the hire that I would have. But I think people would be remiss, or I think you would be off to say that he ain't nothing. Like I feel like he's a legit coach based off of all those things that I just presented, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's valid for sure. We're gonna see how it goes. I think from reading PDJ and what he had to say on the thing, the Bengals want more production from their younger players. That's evident. They probably think that he can get that out of them. So I think that's what we need, man. Especially with a lot of these players moving on. Like the Bengals just haven't gotten, the play out of Dax Hill that they expected, right? They expected him to be a replacement for Jesse Bates. Now they're expecting him to kind of be a replacement for Cheeto and kind of solidify that area. And then, of course, with Myles Murphy, they're expecting him to be maybe the replacement for Joseph Osai, or what Osai was supposed to be, depending on how things work out. So it's going to be a real interesting offseason. I think I'm so charged up with like the roster stuff because I actually finally, for the first time, dove into the roster kind of like the offseason thinking. I've kind of been on like playoff mode and all right, I'm gonna get to the draft, but like today was when I officially was like, all right, I gotta do this content because I gotta do a joint for another show, just to talk about like where the Bengals are at in the offseason. And
it's not a good roster, bro.
It's crazy because when we broke it down, it just seems so much better than it really was. And like when you recap it and look at how everything played out and like the Sheldon Rankins and like the Geno Stone and shout out to Geno. I don't think Geno ended the season on a bad note, but like you're thinking that you just got like a major upgrade at some of these positions. And like a lot of them are solid and really good, but and some of them were flamed out. And then you're like, man, like Gesicki went so crazy. And it's like, now it's possibly Noah Gesicki, but Eric all looked good. But now it's like
coming back from injury. But the dangers of free agency, and this is why I never want to pay top dollar like for free agents. I wouldn't mind the Bengals making a trade for somebody that we like. I've never been opposed to that. But you've never heard me come on this show and be like, we should sign Christian Wilkins like in the free agency or like whoever the top guy is. Because Sheldon Rankins was a guy that I targeted, and I pretty much told people based off of the Bengals' habits, like that's how I shop. Like people, like that's how I shop for clothes. Right. It's a item that I know I can get at a discounted price that gives me production in the same like, you know what I mean, like the same level of, you know what I mean. It's like catching a sell at Saks Fifth Avenue. Like the average person will be like, I'm not going at Saks. Like, bro, it's thousands. I'm not spending thousands of dollars. But if you come with me to the sale rack, I might show you a couple things. And that's how I look at free agency. And Sheldon Rankins represent. There's some guys like the kid from the Cowboys on the defense line. I think he represents that because he's younger. I might pay a little bit more. Like, and that's kind of how like I look at it. And Sheldon would have been okay, but nobody would have thought that him would like that situation would have been so diabolically like
crazy
wrong.
Like that. Yeah.
I don't know what happened with that.
That's what I'm gonna just have to take that lesson and learning. Like, as good as something may seem, you just never really know, bro. But I think I just thought we were looking at the roster. I'm like, I just thought we were so much closer and better than we really actually were. And I think that's something that they can fix, especially this offseason. And maybe the new hires and having new voices in the room, maybe that help improves that aspect from a free agent standpoint. But I'm with you. Like what the Bengals did with Trey Hendrickson, Cheeto, and Mike Hilton, they did exactly what you said. They went to the rack and they pulled some fire off of there. Like they pulled some one-on-ones off of there. And they came out ahead, and they just have struggled to recreate that. And maybe this is the offseason that they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think that they have to. I think the cap space is going to say that they have to, whether they sign T or not. Like, it's just they're going to be in a spot where they can ignore us. They cannot speak out. They can hide Tobin and all them people like that. They could do all that. But there's going to be a lot of fire under people's asses because they understand this window of Joe Burrow is now starting to tick very, very fast.
It is.
And I think that Burrow's a quarterback that could play. I think Burrow's one of them quarterbacks that could play for a long, long time. But his personality, though, doesn't make me feel like I don't want to go there, but I don't know. I just don't know about a 10-year plan for, like, I'm thinking right now.
Right now.
Like, right now.
And I feel like if you knock one of those, like, bowls through the door, like, I think that solidifies, like, no worries kind of going forward. B.O. has a super chat. Appreciate you, bro. He says he'll give it a 4 out of 10. Hope things go well.
4 out of 10?
We gotta hope it goes well,
we
man.
We got a gold digger. We gotta boys gonna have to mount up on him, bro. Like, we gotta.
He said that early too, right when the show came in. Westish, $5 super chat. Appreciate that, bro. Did y'all speak about Montgomery? We want to know y'all opinion. Yeah, bro. Let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on Montgomery, bro?
I'm gonna let one of my boys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let my boys share.
What's happening?
What's good?
What's good, family?
Hey,
perfect. Hey, the timing on that. Like,
listen,
I ain't even
bro. Listen. I had to reach out. You know what I mean? I'll say this. Coach Golden, I said, welcome back, D coordinator. He said, I brought Monty with me. Let's fucking go. I'm like, okay. So he's excited for Coach Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to tell you about Coach Montgomery, all right? He played at Iowa. Now, Iowa is a school that, you see my helmet. Yes, Iowa is a school. I'm going to put the Iowa helmet right here. Iowa is a school that takes a lot of Midwest farm, not very dark, you know what I mean, players. That's the pool they got to deal with. Then they get all the brothers, a no-star recruit that nobody wanted. So how are they going to compete with Michigan, Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
And these SEC teams in bowl games. These Pac-12 teams no longer exist, Pac-10. These Big 12, how are they going to compete with them? Well, now we got to coach Iowa guys so meticulously, so to the point, right, that their technique is better than anybody. So much so that Bill Parcells said, I like Iowa guys because it's like I'm getting a 2 to 3 year veteran. It's something along those lines. I'm getting a veteran. You get what I'm saying? So I remember coming into the league, B.J. Raji, Pro Bowler, Ryan Pickett, 12-year vet. These guys, everybody won a Super Bowl ring. And they looking at me. I'm 285 pounds. I'm 6 foot tall. I got one shoulder. I had shoulder surgery the week of the Senior Bowl. And they looking at me like, dang, how do you play the run like that? I'm like, bro, you 340. You 6'3". You 6'4". You 3 this. You 325. I'm 6'20", but they asking me, how do you play the run? Because I was killing it. Killing them. They looking like, man, we ain't never seen nobody do Josh sitting like that. Respect to Josh. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To this day, Jeff Saturday gives me so much respect because of how I used to be able to combat with him my rookie year. And so it's like, it's because of the way I was taught at Iowa. It's that technique, that fundamental to the bone. That's why Coach Golden went to go get Jerry. Remember this. Coach Golden was in Detroit for a minute while Jerry was consulting the defensive line under Mike Turgovic in Green Bay. And then Coach Golden had to coach the Packers D line. While I was there, Kenny Clark was there, LaTroy Guyon was there. And the way I played the game, guys started to kind of follow suit the way I did it. Coach Golden knew that. See what I'm saying? He was there with Jim Caldwell, who's a Hawkeye. So he already knew, there's Iowa coaching being going on Green Bay's D line. And it's going to be hard to play against them. So I told Jerry, I'm like, Jerry, I texted him. I'm like, Big Cuz. I call him Big Cuz, bro. You know what I mean? He's an Iowa guy. He was there before I got there. Then he was in Green Bay with me a bunch of years. I call him Big Cuz, bro. I'm like, Big Cuz.
Yes, sir.
Do your thing. Do your thing and make sure you bring that Iowa grit, that Iowa technique. I said you got a good young guy in Chris Jenkins, a dang good one. Bring what you know, how we bring the way we do things to the Bengals.
Let me get all right. So everybody, Mike Daniels just came out of nowhere, like out of like off the top rope. But the reason, but this is amazing insight because off the break, he's got so many ties to this. All right, so check this out. You just talked about Montgomery. Talk to me about what was his role when you were there with the Packers, because a lot of people are now a little concerned that he only can work with the interior D line. What would you say? Is that true, or what was his input on a day-to-day, and what was his role?
He worked with the entire front. I mean, that's it. Consulted the guys rushing off the edge. You know, definitely worked with the interior guys. The guys playing a 5 technique to the 3 to the 0 and everything in between. Jerry can coach it all. I hope and pray Al goes back to the 4-3. Because here's the thing about Al Golden. He a Jersey boy. He say from Central Jersey, but Central Jersey don't exist, Al. I hope you see this. We had this discussion in Detroit. It's North and South Jersey, right? You either in the suburbs of New York or you in the suburbs of Philly, yo. You know what I mean? I'm closer to Philly than a lot of people that play on the Bengals is close to Cincinnati. But I'm a Jersey boy. I'll never claim Philly. All due respect. Unless it's Meek. Then I'm going to claim Meek. I'm going to claim Gilly. I'm going to claim all that. You know what I mean? All of our Jersey rappers go to Philly. You know what I'm saying? Point I'm making. So he already got the grit. He was at Temple. He's the one that really got Temple going. Muhammad Wilkerson. You remember that name?
Yeah.
That's an Al Golden product. Okay? Matt Rule, coach under Al Golden. You get what I'm saying, right? So Al Golden, Philly, 15 minutes before I grew up, missed me. He recruited my brother and coached my brother. Al Golden, that Temple team, they prided themselves on their defense. They just couldn't score.
Mm-hmm.
They pride themselves on the defense. Al was a linebacker at Penn State, bro. See what I'm saying? So he's an East Coast tough guy. There's a reason Zach went back and got him. He could have got anybody, but he's like, you know what? There's a guy we already had in the building. There's a reason for that.
So let me ask you this, Mike. The year he was in the building, because a lot of people just think that he was just a linebacker coach. Was that the case, or did he have a bigger role in the building when you were there?
Coach Golden controlled the, from what I remember, he controlled a lot of the linebacker stunts combined with the D line.
Okay.
So when you saw Logan Wilson, think about some of the young linebackers he's had from Detroit. Jelani Tavai, who's at the Patriots now. Gerard Davis, who injuries hurt him, but he was a savage.
Yeah, he was.
Germ, right. My boy Revis Maben, who just made his first Pro Bowl last year on the Lions. See what I'm saying? They will put Miles Killebrew in the box every now and then. You know, the special teamer for the Steelers. They always on the same team. You know what I mean? Then when he was in Cincinnati, you can legitimately think the development of Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis-Gaither to Al Golden. And I said to Al, because we were in Detroit together, and then we was in Cincinnati together 2 years. And I said, yo, coach, I've never seen linebacker play like this before. I said, I wish I was playing more, and I wish I was playing because I've never had this type of linebacker play behind me. Ever. Just the way it's coached. I had a guy 1 year, Sam Barrington. Blake Martinez was decent, but he was good. Blake Martinez damn good, actually, but the way the scheme was, it never allowed those guys to just get crazy in Green Bay. Green Bay still talking about what we're going to do about defense. I don't know. They just can't get it together over there. I just don't know. No matter who the coordinator, they can't get it together. I don't know. But we're talking about the Bengals right now, right? And I said, Coach Gordon, I said, yo, Coach, you got, like, your linebacker play is insane. Insane. I said, I've seen you do it with young guys in 2 different teams, and it's the same. The linebacker play is why we went to the Super Bowl.
Right. That's facts. That's facts.
Think about it. The linebacker play. The linebacker players while we went to the Super Bowl. Listen, all due
Hey,
respect,
I kind of said that before you came on. I said that linebacker room was
defensive line. I'm gonna be highly critical of my position. Guys kind of lost their gaps a lot that year, but Logan Wilson was and Jermaine Pratt was coming downhill. People don't realize how good Josh Bynes played the 1 year they had him.
Yeah,
That's why he played like 3 more in Baltimore after that.
Yeah.
Remember y'all had the gas left in the tank.
Y'all had the injuries to the linebacker room, and y'all ended up going to like the Titans with Bocce and all them dudes, and then y'all had,
it was no drop off.
Yeah,
no drop.
It was never a drop off.
I think Golden,
no drop off.
Golden got to bring Mike in, man. Mike got to be on the staff some type of way in training camp or something like that.
Hey, look,
that's what I told him.
Listen, you might like this. When Coach Montgomery was in Green Bay, he would use my film because, I played the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That he wants the guys to play. He would use my film as a teaching mechanism for, like, Devonta Wyatt and T.J. Slayton and all those young guys coming into Green Bay. And I didn't know that until me and my brother went there coaching, we was there for OTA practice, and they were saying like, man, J Mont used to show your film all the time, Mike. I was like, word? It was like, yeah, bro. And so I asked him, like, yo, Jerry, man, I would love to come. I was like, I don't want to coach in the NFL. Do not even want to coach college. So this ain't I'm trying to take your job type. No, it's like, yo, I would love to come in and just help out. Like, just come holler at the guys for a day. You know what I mean? And J Mont said straight up, Mike, you're welcome always. So don't be surprised if you see me at an OTA or a camp practice this year.
Yes, sir.
Kind of helping out with Chris Jenkins and them young. I hope they get another young dog. They need to bring Jerry, another young Chris. Bring him the next big tough D tackle coming out.
Facts.
Let that be his guys. You know what I mean?
Guys, we're gonna have. You know what we're gonna do? We're going when we get closer to like free agency and stuff like that. Remember that time I had you in Spaces that one time when we were like talking about prospects and stuff like that? We're gonna do we need to do a show where you pick out your guys in the trenches that people need to kind of like put on their radar.
I'll start doing my homework right now.
Let's get it. I feel like that would be a fun show because we talk about this with Willie a lot too. Is like there's not a big emphasis on the trenches like that, or people with your football acumen that can really like share insight. And that's what the Bengals need, to kind of under radar guys, because we're going to hear about debate. Like we need those names because they need that toughness up front.
Well, a lot of times the best D tackles in college, they're the best because the scheme allows them literally just to play free with no discipline. And they probably 6'4 plus, 300 plus, and can run fast. And in college, that's a grown man. So all you got to do is get off the ball hard every single play through a gap. Hell no, you ain't going to block him, especially if you got a dog linebacker behind him. You see what I'm saying? Yes, Jalen Carter, he didn't have a bad game. They sent the slide to him a lot. I didn't feel bad for him because I was one of the most double-team guys in the league the entire time I played, or once I started starting. You know what I'm saying? Even my first year in Cincy, I was the 11th most double-team D tackle in the NFL, and I barely played. You know what I mean? So, but I watched Jalen Carter, and they don't slide when we get a sack, right? And then the sack at the end of the game, the old lineman didn't even block him.
Yeah.
How do you forget to block Jalen Carter?
That's
so when
crazy.
stuff like that happens, you know what I say? How good do y'all really feel he is? Because ain't no way in hell you're going to look at Jalen Carter. Jason Kelsey, that's my man's. And I said, yo, we played them in 2014 after we played them in 2013. And Jason tells me, I mean, every single play, I might have had 2 one-on-one rushes versus Evan Mathis all game. Jason, as soon as the ball snapped, jumped right to me. Pouncey at the Steelers, same thing. And I'm like, yo, bro, why? Like, Mike, you know I can't leave you alone. So, center for the Rams.
All right.
Or I'm not going to blame him. Coach, how do y'all ignore Jalen Carter? It should be like, we don't care who you block. Block him.
It still got you tight.
You seen that, but y'all seen it happen to Geno Atkins.
Bro.
Yeah.
No matter what you do,
Mike,
get Geno.
You know the energy.
I gotta ask you this, bro. Aaron Donald, bro. How do
I knew you was about
how
to
do we
do
not double Aaron Donald at the end of the game, bro? How?
Can I be honest with you, yo?
Yes.
I love you, Zach. You my dog. when I got released, I was pissed, like extremely pissed, like beyond pissed. Because I came into camp like, you know what? Let me burn myself out before practice so I come into practice super tired every day because I'm getting ready for week 1. I'm a 10-year vet. I'm like, I ain't got to compete. Not realizing like, no, you're really going to have to compete like you're a rookie again. Because I was buried on the depth chart, like that stuff, that done that type stuff. You know what I mean? You know, I get it. Old guy stuff. I get it. So when I got released, I was like, okay, that's all right. I was hot as hell. I just want family out there and everything. I was hot. So when they brought me back, I unleashed hell every single practice. It got to the point that the offense couldn't get a playoff. Realistically, if we were going live, Joe would have got hit every drop back between me and Noah Spence and a couple other guys. But like me and Noah Spence, Joe would have got hit every single play. He was the most sacked quarterback in the league, right? And you got a 2nd-round pick and a Pro Bowler on your practice squad. What the hell do you think going to happen? Especially when they pissed off that they're on the practice squad, right? So check it out. We was getting so lit. I mean, guys like Trayvon Henderson and, you know what I mean, these other practice squad guys catching picks and stuff. And, you know, it was crazy, right? So then eventually the offense, Fred Johnson and them was like, yo, let's turn up too. So now they pancaking them dudes and all that. They going crazy. The running backs bouncing hard off the linebackers. The practice squad turned up.
Right.
So, you know, coach pulled me in the office like, Mike, man, listen. He showed me 2 plays where I lit up Samaj, you know. He was like, Mike, we just don't want to get nobody hurt. And I'm like, I got you, coach. I got you. I get it. You know, I just know how to practice at one speed, you know, but I get it. Like, y'all got to prepare for the game. I'm still going to practice hard, but if I break through the backfield and somebody's getting a handoff and I'm there as he's getting a handoff, I'm not going to blow him up. I'm going to tap his hip so y'all saw I was there. And, but honestly, that's what helped us because we was giving them hell every day. So, you know, there was times where we had to back off. And I think like a guy like Jonah, right? He understood. A guy like Trey
Hopkins,
our center, Hendricks, he understood. A guy like Quentin Spain understood, right? But it was some of them young guys, they got a little beside themselves because like we're getting told to back off. And now, yo, I just blocked the Pro Bowler. The Pro Bowler's kind of going to quarter speed. Yo, I just blocked Noah Spence. He's going quarter speed, you know? So when Joe didn't get pushed out of bounds by Aaron Donald, they rushed him, which defends your quarterback. At the same time, and I learned this from TJ Lane, Mike, he said, as much as I hate Sue, I'm not going to piss Sue off because that's not smart.
Yeah.
He said, I don't like him, but I'm not going to piss him off. So, and I mean, talking about, you know, as a player, like, you know, I mean, you know, cordial as people, but I'm saying as a player, on the field, you're going to hate everybody. So when I saw the way them dudes ran up on Aaron Donald and I saw the guys that did it, I'm like, dude, yo, bro, now y'all just really got to believe you're tougher than what you are. And I firmly believe that's what lost us the Super Bowl because they pissed off one of the best players of this last decade. And now he was on go time. And after that, what, he have like 2 sacks and then that last hit? Yeah. That's what happened. They got after him because they got too comfortable because they didn't realize like a veteran was just being like, yo, hey, we're going to let y'all get y'all plays off, you know, get to your spot. It was like, I think they really was thinking like they was doing something.
Yeah.
And then they went to Donald and ran up on him like, bro, pick your battles wisely. I'm not no punk. Get it twisted.
That's not nasty,
either.
Right? Not stupid either, yeah.
Crazy. Like, you know, we were there and I don't, man, that game went so fast. I don't want to talk about that game anymore. Like, hold on, let me just, because we got to wrap up the show though. Let me just go. Let's just rewind for one quick second. Can I just go back to Montgomery and then going back to Golden? If you had a message that you could tell people or some insight that you feel as though that they don't know on those two guys, just those guys alone, that you feel as though that they're responsible for, maybe on the Super Bowl run, or just something that you wanted to share, just to let people know what you feel as though the Bengals are getting from those two new coaches?
Coach Golden, very seasoned coach. He truly understands one of the most important positions on the field, and that's the linebacker. Lou was a DB guy, which is great. Golden's a linebacker guy. And when your front seven is humming, I don't care who's at wide receiver. It's going to be hard to play the game when the quarterback's doing this, just doing this, leaning back, throwing all games. Hard to win when your running back's getting gloved up because all the gaps is plugged. Pause. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying, you're getting a coach that truly understands and like the importance of the front dominating. That's why when Lou was there, Al was able to do what he wanted. And that's why we had success. And Jerry Montgomery, I watch defensive lines in the NFL. He's the best defensive line coach in the NFL. It's not close. I'm not biased. It's not close. He's the best.
That's biased, Mike. You biased. Mike, you biased. You already just said that. That's Cuzzo and everything. Like,
I ain't biased because I watch how other guys play. I'll put it like this: if Jerry Montgomery was in Philly, Jalen Carter would be up for Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right.
That's
what I mean? So, you're getting one of the best for sure. And you guys are in good hands. I love Coach Hobby. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate him. And I love Lou. I told him he's one of the best coordinators I ever played with. And it just sucks that, 2 years missing the playoffs, somebody's got to, somebody's going to have to go, unfortunately. It just is what it is, bro. But, hey, this is a great pickup. It's a great pickup. I wish my Packers, you know what I mean, would have barked up the Al tree. I like Halfley. You know what I'm saying? But I wish they would have went after Al. You know what I mean, too. So that's how much I love Al.
I'm hoping they let you at OTAs because before you got on here, you missed it. There's a whole group of people that aren't that impressed with Golden, and they're calling them gold diggers. And then we got the Golden boys like myself. So you just came in off the top rope and just delivered a message. So a lot of
Randy
people
Savage elbow drop.
Yeah,
Swanton bomb.
Yeah. Mike, you only me and Ace, we the Hardy boys online. So we like we going crazy on.
I appreciate how hard you go for your players, because one thing about like being a fan of a team that struggled, whatever happens, you're appreciative. See, I love my Packers fans, but like I would get cooked if I didn't have a sack. Be like, yo, where was he at today? I'm like, dang, what the F? Yo, Angelo Dart, what's up, boy? My WWE brother. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's my homie. But that's what I'm saying is like, y'all, I would see guys get steamrolled. And I'd be like, all right, let me see what Bengals fans saying. Nothing. I'm like, man, what a bunch of happy people, bro. I love that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you play for a team that's got Super Bowl expectations, now that might change with Joe Burrow being there, because y'all are expecting to win one, as you should. So you might, you know what I mean? It might change with the fans, but like when expectations are high for the fan base, sometimes you feel like, dang, bro,
it's changed, bro.
Dang.
It's changed. They will get players.
So people gonna get cooked on social media now.
See what you're talking about? That's like me and Ace. Even though me and Ace ain't like old heads, this is like that to me.
Bro, we old. No, we unk now. We unk status, bro. We unk status.
I'm getting the unk status, right?
You're unk status, bro. All right, you in the 30s. That's unk status.
But check. Oh yeah, if you're over 30, I guess. All right. So look. But this is the thing. We're going through this whole thing where it's like this whole new movement, and I think it came because the Bengals had success. It's like this whole new movement to be right, and that's not. I don't really care about that whole thing. It's like a group of people trying to be right, and I'm like the old school unk dude that's just like, bro, I don't care. Like, I want the Bengals to win, bro. Like, what are y'all talking about? I'm
telling you, there used to be old fans on Twitter like, I was a Packer fan through the 70s and 80s when we couldn't win nothing. This is gold to me. Bruh, when Rashan Gary went to the Pro Bowl, Jersey Bowl, Big Ten Bowl, we got a lot in common, D lineman for the Packers. And I said, yo, congrats, well deserved. And the fan said to me, man, it's a shame. We had fans talking about I can't believe he's there. He didn't deserve it. I'm like, excuse me?
What?
I've seen fans say, I'm not voting him for the Pro Bowl. He don't deserve it. What?
That's crazy.
What?
See, you about to open up a whole new back. I don't even want to go into. They're doing that to some of our great players that have now like left, and to me, that's so against what we started this channel on is about celebrating our greats, because what happens is if we don't do it, nobody's going to do it.
Nobody's going to do it.
So like when people leave, like players leave and they're Pro Bowlers and all this other stuff like that, and then people are just trying to downplay it, I'm like, if we don't celebrate them, how y'all think we're gonna get somebody in the Hall of Fame? How you think that these people gonna get recognized in the Ring of Honor? How you think like all of these different things that go hand in hand, but the immediate like this immediate thing to say I had a right take on X or Twitter or whatever is superseding like the actual fandom part of it, and I think that's where me and Ace kind of reel it back in, and we're like still reaching out and still like, I'm gonna be calling people. I'm gonna be like, bro, get Mike at OTAs. What you mean? Like, let's get it.
I'll come for a day. I'll holler at Chris Jenkins. I mean, I'll be Jerry's soundboard. Jerry, pull my clips up. Now let me show you how I did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. Because a lot of times kids, they try to listen to their coach. So listen to the cool big brother. You feel me? You know. But I appreciate y'all holding it down for the Bengals fan base, man. Like I said, Packers fans are amazing, but I've also seen the ugly side of fan bases. I'm gonna be real with you. I haven't seen the ugly side of the Bengals fan base. I just haven't. And that's why I said when I got here, it's hard to be a bandwagon fan when there was never a bandwagon.
Right.
And I appreciate y'all, man, for holding it down. You make it comfortable for the players. There's no pressure of like when we was losing, I saw stuff online that said, man, the Packers, they're ruining my game day experience. I'm like, I mean, I get it. You pay a lot. Prices are crazy. Hot dogs are crazy. You know, now I'm on the other side of this thing. I'm like, y'all think these people. No wonder I'd be pissed if I was a fan too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, it's like.
When the last time you bought a drink at a game? You ain't never even bought a drink at a game, have you? Not recently.
I did.
Okay, because Bengals like they got a right to be
game. No,
hey, but I'm gonna tell you this: the Bengals, we got a right to be pissed. If anybody's bought 2 drinks and a water, you probably spend about $70 in that joint, bro. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. People got a legit case to be pissed at this ownership group if they don't deliver.
That's crazy work. But you know what? Like you said, it's legit. It is what it is, man. But I just wanted to give y'all shout outs, man. Y'all deserve your flowers while you still here and everything. You doing what you got to do. You on the big shot. I got my Bengals helmet right up there. I'm getting my Super Bowl jersey. I ain't playing the game, but I'm getting my jersey frame. I'm gonna hang it up. You know what I mean? I got a Super Bowl jersey. A lot of people don't. You feel me? Getting it hung up. So that's what I'm saying, man. Like, yo, shout out to Coach Gordon, shout out to Jerry. Shout out to the Bengals defense, man. I'm excited to watch them boys get down. You know what I mean? What's up? Did Logan get paid yet? What's going on?
Logan Wilson?
Yeah,
he already got paid. Yes, sir.
Pratt and Wilson got paid the same.
That's right.
We spent some good money. That before you go, tell everybody that doesn't follow you currently right now on X or whatever you got, whatever. Let them know where they can follow you at, because if y'all like Mike energy right now, this is how he is. Like, follow him.
Bro, I just left middle school weightlifting, bro. That's the exact same. Mike _ Daniel 76. I think that's my ex name. I guess we don't say Twitter no more. You know what I mean?
I still say Twitter, bro.
It's an underscore. I thought it was just all together. It's not just Mike.
Nah. It's Mike _
Oh
Daniel,
yeah.
76.
My bad. My last tweet got it on it too. It's Mike _ Daniel.
And Instagram is just Mike Daniels. I'm the only. You know what I mean? Got the
only Mike Daniels.
Only Mike Daniels. I was like verified because I'm not changing it. I'm just gonna keep it like that.
I appreciate you stopping by, bro.
I know. Appreciate you having me, bro.
As soon as I saw the news, I started connecting the dots. I was like, bro, I got on the horn with you. I was like, bro, let's chop it up real quick. So I appreciate you coming on. We're gonna have you back on. We're gonna have a trenches show. We're gonna break down some shit.
Bro, yo, the trenches are ignored. If you watch the playoffs,
it's all trenches. The Bills is beating everybody ass up front. The Eagles it's all trenches.
But if you watch the defensive linemen, nobody's stopping the run anymore. That's this. Everybody's going to all these pass rush specialists, running up field, chasing the quarterback. That's why, honestly, these pass rush specialists are single-handedly reviving the running back position because all the D linemen are just opening up wide lanes.
Right.
Bro, Saquon is great, but dang, for real? He goes to like almost 200 every. These are against playoff teams. Are you serious?
He killed them. He killed them in the regular season too. He gave him 250 in the regular season.
Derrick Henry ran for 84 yards, and they wasn't even trying to run him last game, and he still went for it.
He wasn't even on the field. He wasn't even, like
we had like 30 in the first
these
half.
Dudes can't stop the run. And Jerry Montgomery, then Al Golden. All right, bro. I done said enough, bro.
We stopping the run now. All right, bro. I appreciate you. We got to go to our sponsor. We got Mike. We got to pay a couple bills real quick.
Ooh,
all right, appreciate you.
Yeah, pay that money. Yo, love, salute, Zim. Hit me, bro. We definitely got shot.
Yeah. I'm gonna call.
I gotta tell you some things I can't say on here.
All right, brother. Yes, sir. Appreciate Mike for coming through. This show, as you guys know, is powered by BETUS. Make sure that you guys stop over there. They got the casino going on. They got things going on. Zim, you got any Wincy plays of the week?
No, I do not have any. You want to run back to Saquon?
Yeah, we gonna nah. It's all good. We'll get some Wincy plays of the week. We'll actually toss it to our sponsor, Midwest Best Barbecue. Let them get some chicken wings while we get our Wincy play of the week together.
All right. Yes, sir.
G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. It's the Ace to the Zim, M into the B's. Uno wings, G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Say what up to Jordan Battle. We be going to battle. Intercepting balls like CTV did on Seattle. Putting 6 up on AZ. Juice gang amazing. Make sure you come get these wings, cause Zimby stay blazing. And T game be smooth as ice. Your mom making DVs fold. TV got big levels, and now you already know. It's so pretty for Uno wings. Cam got the new wings. We call them CTBs. Only at MBs. Asian to the Zim. M into the B's.
All right, so I got one here. Jaden Daniels plus 235 passing yards against the Philadelphia Eagles. How you feeling about that one?
Ooh. I don't feel strong. Like, that's a tough line. I just feel like that because I feel like that's the sweet spot because of the secondary being so good. And with the Eagles, I've seen them knock dudes like,
Jaden Daniels, 68 rushing yards.
I don't like that. I don't like that one. I'll take the under on that. 68 on it. I mean, he could
go with the over under. All right, so over under on the rushing yards for Jaden Daniels is over 57.5 or under.
I'll take the over on the 57.
All right, so we're gonna take the over on the 57. Jaden Daniels.
I predict he's gonna have 64 rushing yards, but
all right, so we're gonna take the over on Jaden Daniels 57.5. Anything else that we want to take?
You don't want to do the anytime touchdown Saquon?
Saquon anytime touchdown.
That's got to be free money. Ain't nothing they could do to stop that.
51, yeah, I'm gonna take that. Let's do that one too.
We ride. Right. I'm gonna tell you another one. If they win this game, Saquon Super Bowl MVP.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, those are your two Wincy plays of the week. We're taking Jaden Daniels over 57.5 rushing yards, and we're taking Saquon anytime touchdown. So make sure you guys tap in with BetUS. Make sure that you let them know Ace and Zim sent you. Make sure you let Midwest Best know that Ace and Zim sent you. They're located at 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Shout out to everybody who came through tonight. John Sheeran, Mike Daniels, everybody that pulled up on us. We appreciate you guys, of course. Over 2,000 people watching right now, pulling up on us. Appreciate y'all. We will see you guys.
Hold on, real quick. Hold
on. Who you got for these two games, in these last two games? So Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Commanders. Who you got?
I got Bills, Eagles.
Okay. I got Bills, Commanders, and they're gonna be like, of course you guys hate the Chiefs. No. You're damn right. But I think Josh Allen is about to finally get it done for sure.
Yeah, I think this is the way that they're playing is the way that you got to play them is that run that football. Can I say this too before we close out the show too? I appreciate you all checking out the show. If you are on X watching this, please come over to YouTube to Wincinnati. We need way more subscribers. We have all these great connections, all this great insight, unlike any other show currently right now that I know of, right? And we'll have these tremendous guests, but we're not getting the viewers that we need and that the people deserve. So please make sure you come over to Wincinnati on YouTube. Make sure you retweet this episode.
Yep, make sure that you retweet this episode, share it with everybody.
So everybody,
we appreciate it.
And the AJ Green interview that we just did a couple of days ago, we just did that. If y'all missed it, we know that the national championship game was on at the same time. Please make sure you go to the AJ Green video right now. If you are on YouTube right now, go over and just give it a like, give it a view, comment, do whatever. But make sure you all interact with that AJ Green interview because we need to get that circulated. It's starting to get picked up. Some good articles written out. He talked about T. Higgins. He talked about Jermaine Burton. He talked about life, what it's like outside of being on the Bengals. Anything that you probably wanted to hear from AJ Green that you never get a chance to hear from, please go check out that interview. That's one of our better interviews I feel like we've done. And I will also say this. If you give me enough views and you give us enough people to check us out, I have a really special guest next week that I'm already currently about to schedule something for right now. So if the views go up and everything like that, I promise you this is a really, really good guest that I think people are going to check out. And like Ace just said, we appreciate John Sheeran from A to Z Sports. Appreciate Mike Daniels, as always. His crazy ass is on here. And all that good info. That's why I led with the show. I said, bro, we had good info. So appreciate y'all sticking with us. I know we ran a little longer today, but we had to. We got new coaches.
Yep, definitely. New coaches and new culture. Thank you guys so much for checking out the Wincinnati Pod.